Diaspora. Today we are hosting our second episode of our Meet Your Candidate forum. Today we have Professor Yafa, who is going to be discussing with us under his presidency, how are we going to be unlocking a peace and security policy? We may understand that this is one of the most critical dimensions of our country. It is either now or never. And we must all understand that without peace and security, there can never be any meaningful development. And that is one of the things that have motivated Professor Yafa to take up this challenge in ushering us into a government where there would be peace, there would be security, and in essence, a holistic development for the Gambia. Under Professor Yafa, there is hope that Gambia will get to its destination. Our agenda today will be looking at the current state of peace and security policies. What are the key pillars of these policies? What are the challenges in the implementation of these policies? And how are we going to unlock these policies under Professor Yafa's presidency? And what will be the role of his government and all stakeholders in ensuring that these policies are being implemented? Without wasting time, I will hand over the baton to Professor Yafa to lead the discussion. Professor Yafa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking time of your busy schedule to moderate this session. This is our second session on behalf of Professor Ann Wallis, who could not be here at this time for now. She may join us later. Once again, my name is Professor Sidat Yafa, University of the Gambia. I'm a professor of agronomy, University of the Gambia, and the director of the WASCAL Doctoral Research Program on Climate Change and Education at the University of the Gambia. But I have made this decision that I now, in my life, I'm going to, those who have never met me, those who have never witnessed my interactions with the communities around the world, I have made a decision to run for the presidency of the Gambia, where the elections will take place on 5th of December, 2026. The reason why I wanted to contest for the presidency is because, one, I love my country, number one priority for me in my life. And secondly, I see a lot of loopholes, a lot of challenges in terms of governance, in terms of security, in terms of food, in terms of healthcare, quality education, etc., etc. So I said I would not just sit down and just be a passerby and just try to complain without taking action on the political arena. So that's why I have decided to change my lifestyle from academics. I've been in the University of the Gambia for 16 years, and I want to get into a political career. So today, because this is a bi-weekly series, the first one we did was on 7th of April, 2026, where we discussed about the movement, now we call it the movement, Gambia Movement for Progress, GMP for short, where I gave the background of the movement, how it started up to today, and where we want to go in the next 8 or 9 months, up to December this year, when we get to the elections. So today, the 21st of April, 2026, I'll be talking about peace and security under Jaffa presidency of the Gambia. So just like the chair said, I will be talking about first the core national frameworks, core national peace and security frameworks that we currently exist in the country, at least on paper. The Gambia's peace and security architecture is built on a few key policies. One of those, number one policy, is the National Security Policy and Strategy. This is a government paper, and it is geared toward developing. It was developed in 2017, immediately after the presidential elections in 2016, where we ousted the dictatorship of former President Yahya Jammeh, and we ushered in President Adama Barrow, the current president of the Gambia. This is in 2017 when this policy, the National Security Policy and Strategy, was developed and implemented, or adopted rather. And the focus is on human security, rule of law, and accountability. And it shifts from regime protection, that is the citizen-centered security, meaning it was developed to shift from regime protection, because during Yahya Jammeh's time, most of those policies were protecting his government and he per se, in person rather, but it was not citizen-centered. So now this national security policy and strategy geared toward a citizen-centered security, meaning the security is going to focus on all citizens of the Gambia, all bona fide citizens of this country, and also even people who are not Gambian citizens, but they are legally resident in the Gambia. So they have the right to be protected under the laws of the Gambia. And the second policy is the security sector reform, we call in short SSR. This is a major reform program supported by partners like the United Nations, especially United Nations Development Program Country Office in the Gambia. And this security sector reform aims to professionalize the military, the Gambia military, the Gambia police force, and all other intelligence services of the Gambia, to professionalize them so that they become professional on their jobs. And it also aims to strengthen oversight and transparency on all security matters, and also to rebuild public trust, because currently the trust between the citizens and the security services is very low. But this security sector reform, the mandate is to rebuild that public trust. And this security sector reform was seen as essential for long-term peace and stability. The next security policy is the National Action Plan on Youth, Peace and Security, 2025 to 2030. It is envisaged to engage young people in peace building and governance throughout the country, to train these young people on what peace building is and how peace building could be implemented, and the governance surrounding the peace building, so that these young people can go around the country and train their colleagues on peace building and governance. And this policy also is supposed to run out in 2030. It started in 2025. It's also recognized that over 70% of our population, I would say 65 to 70%, 60%, 60% to 65% to 70% of our population is youth, meaning from age up to 35 or 36 years of age, making them central to stability, because they carry a greater part of our population. Therefore, there has to be a policy that will protect their stability in the country. And the focus areas is youth participation in decision-making, especially on all security decision-making. The youth should be included. And violence prevention, the youth should be trained and enhance their capacities on how to prevent violence, and employment and social inclusion. Youth should take part in all these aspects of this National Action Plan on Youth, Peace and Security. The next policy is the National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security. National Plan on Women, Peace and Security. This policy was supposed to promote women's participation in peace processes, because when there is breakdown in law and order, most of the time it's the women who are most impacted. They are most vulnerable, and their children and the elderly. So that's why this national policy, security policy, was promulgated. And the gender equality in security institutions, for example, some of these security institutions, their senior officials are not gender equity. We're not saying gender balance, but gender equity. At least we should have more women to participate in the security matters of our country. And it's also geared toward prevention of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence, for example, sexual harassment, rape, incest, all those kinds of the gender-based violences should be a thing of the past. So that's why this security policy, the National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security, was adopted. Next was the National Development Plan, what we call locally YIRIWA, which runs from 2023 to 2027. It links peace, governance, and development. So this policy, it was mainly to link peace, governance, and development. And it emphasizes youth empowerment, to make youth empowered in our country in the area of peace and security, and also good governance, to train them on about good governance, on how to implement good governance policies, and also inclusive growth, that the whole sector should be included in this policy. So these are the few of the major peace and security policies that we have in the country. Now I would go on to the key pillars of peace and security. What are the key pillars of peace and security? Across all these policies that I mentioned, 4 main pillars stand out. There could be other pillars, but these are the 4 main pillars that stand out. 1, democratic governance, meaning to conduct free and fair elections, to respect and implement the rule of law, irrespective of what your position is in the country or within the government, and also accountability to hold everybody, from the president down to the last citizen, accountable for your actions in the country. And it also was used to build strong institutions and reduce risk of conflict. To build strong institutions, for example, the military or the police force, the immigration services, it's a national security, NSS, National Security Services of the Gambia, so that we reduce conflict. We reduce the risk of conflict in the country. The second key pillar is inclusive participation, meaning all youth and women are actively involved in decision-making as far as peace and security are concerned, and also reduces marginalization, a major conflict driver. You can see in the country and many parts of the country where a lot of groups, they are disenfranchised, they are marginalized because they are not consulted, and on peace and security to hear their views, and also to add on to what currently exists. So this pillar, inclusive participation, was meant to reduce that marginalization. And the third pillar is the security sector accountability, how the security sectors should be accountable. They should be held accountable, meaning there should be transparent police and military actions within the country, and also to civilian oversight to prevent abuse, civilian oversight of these security service sectors, like the police, the military, the immigration. There should be a civil service or a civilian oversight to prevent abuse by these military or police or immigration officials. The fourth pillar is the social and economic stability, meaning how to create jobs and education, quality education for that matter, and services, social services that should be provided in order to minimize instability. So because if you have a population that does not have jobs, a population that does not have education, access to education, especially quality education, and a population that does not have services, social services, those are, they cause or they trigger violence, they trigger instability, which is not good for the country. And this social and economic stability pillar is meant to tackle root causes of insecurity, like poverty and exclusion. We talk about exclusion, people who are excluded in the security governance process of our country. So this pillar is supposed to handle that issue, so that those who were in the past excluded, they could be brought on board and try to participate meaningfully in the implementation of these securities. Now we go on to the current challenges of the peace and security in our country. Even with strong policies that I have mentioned, implementation is the real hurdle, the real challenge. How to implement them? Yes, they are nice on paper, but how to implement them is what this current government has not been very good at. For example, the weak institutional capacity, the limited resources, training gaps for the military, training gaps, limited resources for the police force, training gap, and limited resources for the immigration services on all the security sectors in our country. Mainly, they are, in my view, these security services, because of this weak institutional capacity, they are underemployed. You can have 1,000 or 2,000 military, but you go out in the streets and see how they are doing. It becomes a challenge for them because they do not have those kinds of resources. They do not have those training, because they should be continuously engaged, because an idle man is a recipe for violence. So that is one of the challenges. Another challenge is the low public trust in security forces. This reminds us of the legacy of the past government, Yahya Jammeh's government, where the trust between the public and the security services is very, very, very low. Because in the past, especially on President Yahya Jammeh, where the security services were used as a tool of threat, a tool of intimidation, and a tool of torture and death. Because of those, that's why the trust between the public and the security services has gone down. The morale has gone down very low. And still now, those trusts are a challenge in our security services. Youth employment. Unemployment creates a lot of challenges in any country, including the Gambia, which can fuel instability. That's why when you have these thousands of Gambians taking the risky highways to go to Europe or greener patches, wherever in the world. But if you go there and we're trying to, the European Union now is saying, oh, these are too many in our country, we don't want them, so we have to repatriate them to their respective countries. When they come back, they don't have any opportunities. That's a recipe for instability. So those are some of the things, youth employment, these are current challenges. The government doesn't have the capacity or has not created the capacity to address that challenge, youth and unemployment. Even those who have never gone outside the Gambia, those who are staying in the country, they are frustrated everywhere you go to. That's why many of them indulge in this drug use. Many of them indulge themselves in petty theft. Many of them indulge in themselves in petty crime throughout the country, especially at night. Women are highly vulnerable, the elderly highly vulnerable, and children who are highly vulnerable. So it is a major problem. So, but the government is still weak on those youth and employment issues. Regional insecurity. The Gambia has Senegal as the only country neighbor. So, but we have this regional insecurity in the southern part of Senegal called the Casamance region. And that sometimes it flows into the Gambia. You have these rebels coming from Casamance region, especially when they are attacked by the Senegalese military. They run into Gambia, it becomes a problem, especially in the west coast region of the Gambia, where most of these rebels come and hide. Most of these rebels come and wreak havoc on the citizens of the Gambia, those who live around the border areas of West Coast region, and that becomes insecurity. And finally, the coordination gaps between agencies. There's hardly an effective communications between the security sectors when there is a violence, when there is instability. So it becomes a problem. Even recently, for example, the murder of 2 security officers. Still now, the government has accused one political opposition party of partaking in those killings, but the court has vindicated that political party. So the government is in limbo right now in order to know who exactly was responsible for the murder of those 2 security officers. This should not have happened, because these are security officers. These are the people who look after our lives and properties. when we are sleeping, with the ordinary citizens of the Gambia are sleeping, they put their lives on the line for us. But how could somebody just go and murder them in broad daylight? That shows that how weak the current government is on security issues in our country. Those are the challenges. So with all these challenges that you have mentioned, now how to unlock or strengthen these policies? These are very good policies, but how to implement them and to make them, to strengthen them and also to make them effective. This is where Gambia Movement for Progress, government under my presidency, will tackle. One of those, it is going to be our goal to improve or activate peace and security policies. All these peace and security policies, we will activate them. And these are the most effective strategies that we will employ in order to activate them, to make them more effective during their implementation. For example, we will strengthen the institution, the security institutions in the country, whether it's in the military, whether it's in the police force, whether it's in the immigration and others. We will strengthen the institutions. How are we going to strengthen them? We will invest in training. We will invest in logistics. We will invest in oversight bodies. Training to enhance their capacities all the time, in-country training, outside the country training, so that they can be effective. For example, our military, the Gambia has been known in the past, even now, in taking part in security issues in West Africa, for example, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, and in UN, in Darfur, in Sudan, etc., South Sudan. So we've been active in those. But the training of our military personnel has to be a continuous process. We have to provide them logistics. For example, the police force currently, if there is crime somewhere and the police are called, it takes them many hours before they can get to the crime scene because they don't have transportation. Even if they have transportation, they don't have fuel to move those vehicles to go, and men and women in uniform to go and take care of those crimes. So that's a major, major, major challenge. That's why a lot of these things, crimes get committed and they don't get resolved. Even if the culprits of those crimes are apprehended, they're brought to the police stations. Where do we keep them? Where do the police would keep them? Less logistics, holding grounds, cells, inadequate overcrowding in those cells. It shouldn't be. These are human beings just like us. We should treat them as equal and bona fide citizens of our country. But they have committed a crime, so they have to face the law. But those logistics issues are a major challenge. That's why you have a lot of police overburdened with their work because their logistics is very, very limited. And oversight bodies, we have to institute those civilian oversight bodies who will look at the work of the police, work of the military, work of the immigration and other security agencies, so that they do not step outside their bounds. They do not oversight their functions. So that when that happens, this oversight body, the civilian oversight body, will reprimand them and the law will take its course against them. We will also ensure laws are actually enforced from the presidency down to the last person in the country. Nobody will be above the law. It's a very common practice in our country, unfortunately, right now. So that's what the Gambia Movement for Progress government will try to address, to make sure that we'll set the example, even on the president, to make sure that when the president breaks the law, he faces the law. So that will bring peace and security. But if the president breaks the law and the law is not applied on him, a lot of people will say, that could create instability in the country, because people will say, well, if the president is not prosecuted, why should I be prosecuted? And they're right. If anybody, including the president, breaks the law, that person must face the law. And whatever the law says, that's what's going to be applied on that person. 2, we're going to deepen community engagement. Yes, in the past, I have even taken part in what we call community policing in Banjul. It was a couple of years ago, about 10 years ago, when I worked with the Gambia Police Force, Banjul, to start a community policing, but it didn't go well because logistics, transportation, etc., were very, very inadequate. Capacity building, where do we get the capacity building? Where do we get the training in order to enhance our work? Was very, very challenging. So that's why I decided to quit that. But it's a very good, noble initiative. And in other parts of the country too, there are community policing, but the implementation is a challenge in terms of logistics, in terms of training, in terms of financing. of those who are involved. Community policing doesn't mean that only security services. No, even individuals, civilians, citizens who could take part and work hand in hand with the security services in order to minimize crime in our community. We have to have local peace committees. Local peace committees in any local area, if possible, in every village. We have to have peace committees that will handle any violence or any instability that happens in that village, so that the peace committee will bring the aggrieved persons together and discuss on how to make peace amongst themselves. We have to start dialogue platforms, create dialogue platforms where the youth leaders will be represented, religious leaders will be represented, and the civil society will be represented. All these are geared toward bringing harmony and peace and security in the Gambia. Another thing we need to do, or we will do, is to accelerate security sector reform. Yeah, we have a lot of policies, but to reform the security sector is a major challenge. So we have to establish independent complaint systems, where this complaint system will be composed of civil society, will be composed of youth, women, and religious leaders, so that if there is any complaint levied against any security sector, it is this independent complaints committee that will look into it and recommend for legal action. We have to have clear accountability mechanisms. Even if, for example, the Inspector General of Police, who is the head of the police services in the country, if he or she violates the law will take its course and will be held accountable, clearly accountable to his or her break of the law. And gender inclusion in security forces. Senior officials of all the gender sectors, there should be at least 30% representation of women in these senior top officials of these security services. That has to be a top priority for the Yafa government. And two, we're going to expand economic opportunities to every Gambian citizen. Youth employment programs. We will encourage foreign direct investment. We'll encourage the foreign investors to come into the country and invest in agriculture, invest in education, healthcare, other businesses, so that our youth are highly employed, they're highly trained, they're highly skilled. That will reduce crime in our country. We will expand the number of skills training centers that are tied to market needs in the country, because every region should have and will have a skills training center that will cater to the needs of the youth and women in those areas, so that they can be skillful. They can go through a training. Maybe it's going to be a 1-year certificate program or 2-year diploma program in different aspects of skills training: hair dyeing, tie and batik, tailoring, welding, auto mechanic, electrician, mason. It doesn't matter. Whatever the citizens are, the youth and women are interested in, those are the trainings they will go through. They'll be certified. And before they are certified, we'll try to create some job opportunities for them, so that we don't want them to get certified, then they come out of those training institutions and don't have any opportunity for jobs. Another one we're going to do is to improve coordination among all the security sectors. They will align ministries, for example, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Youth and Sports, and Ministry of Justice. So there has to be a strong coordination between them. Defense to protect our country from external aggression, the Interior to take care of these internal insecurities that we have in the country, and the youth on how to minimize or how to enhance employment, how to minimize crime by youth, and also the justice system. How can the justice system take care of all these under the laws of the Gambia? And finally, what we're going to do is to use data and early warning system for conflict prevention. We'll collect as many data as possible. All of our policies will be guided by data. All our policies will be guided by research results, so that will give us very good information as to what the crime is, how to solve the crime, where has it happened, and how to prevent, and to look at the early warning systems of crimes before the crimes are committed. And this is not going to be done by only the Gambia government, no, under the Yafa government, no. We will have the role of civil society and partners. We'll engage them to the fullest. When organizations like WANEP, which stands for West Africa Network for Peace Building, and other UN agencies in the country will play a big role by supporting dialogue and mediation. They will take part and they will train on dialogue and peace, mediation. They will take part in building early warning systems for peace, so that we know before insecurity happens, we will know exactly where it's going to happen and what are the possibilities of the impacts of those insecurities, so that we can take care of them before they even happen. And also, this civil society and UN agencies will provide technical and financial support to the Gambia government, to the Yava government, in order to make all these things happen. Mr. Chair, the bottom line is the Gambia already has strong policy frameworks, which I indicated in the beginning, for peace and security, but the real unlock lies in implementation. The implementation is the challenge, and also trust building between the security services and the citizen, ordinary citizen, and also inclusion. Because when you have these three, implementation, trust building, and inclusion, as challenges, peace and security is going to be hard to attain. So therefore, the Yava government will try as much as possible and make sure that these policies that I mentioned to, that I alluded to in the beginning, will be effectively implemented, and we will build trust between the security services and the citizens of the Gambia, and also we will include marginalized groups, women and youth, and the elderly. We will tap into their knowledge, we will tap into their experiences in life in order to have peace and security for every Gambian. Without these, Mr. Chairman, these policies will stay on paper and collect dust on the shelves. It doesn't make sense to draft policies, but you cannot implement them. It doesn't make sense. So with them, with the policies, they become real tools for stability and development of the Gambia. So, Mr. Chair, this is where I will conclude my presentation on peace and security on the Yava government. So I look forward to having questions from the general audience. If there's any comments also, we would love to have those comments on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yafa, and for the marathon presentation. For the marathon presentation, and there were the policies that you've highlighted. Some of them, this is my first time of hearing them, and I am very, very happy that you were able to highlight them, look at the pillars, look at the challenges, and then also look at the strategies that your government will use to implement, so that Gambia becomes a safe haven for all of us, and to by extension help us to develop our country to the level that we want it to be. And I am happy that you've highlighted strengthening the institutions, because if the institutions are weak, we cannot do anything. If there is no community engagement, if there is continuous loss of trust between the civilians and the security sector, we cannot develop. And I'm happy that if all of us should put our votes together, we would be able to usher a new government on the 5th of December. And now the floor is open for questions, or if you have any contribution, or you feel that there are other things that Professor Yafa and co could take to make sure that we are able to bring in a new government by the 5th of December. The floor is now open. You can mute and then ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. But before anybody comes on, I want to give you one example why peace and security is the first pillar of our movement. So we have 4 pillars: peace and security, food and nutrition security, affordable healthcare, and quality education. Peace and security is #1 priority. because we believe we have seen examples in the Gambia and outside the Gambia that without peace and security, nothing works in any country, even in developed countries. So that's why we are giving it the top priority in our government. And secondly, that's why we have started using, bringing on board this movement, a retired police commissioner of operations who has 36 years of impeccable services in the Gambia police force. Retired Police Commissioner Omar Jao, who's the Chief of Security of the Gambia Movement for Progress. So this is where we are starting. So we will tap into his knowledge, we will tap into his experience as far as peace and security is concerned, because it's highly known, it's well known in the country. Wherever you go to, say, Commissioner Omar Jao, say, oh, we know him. He doesn't mess up with anybody. Nobody messes up, rather. Nobody messes up with him when it comes to law implementation. So these are the kinds of, and there are many like him. When we come to the government, we have the data of all of them. We will bring them on board so that we will tap into the experience. We'll make them very effective rather than sitting in their homes in retirement. It doesn't make sense. So we'll engage them and they will be highly active on the Yafa government. Thank you.
Okay, now the floor is open for questions and contributions.
Okay, let me go first. Yeah.
Unmute. Yes, we have one here.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Professor, the aspiring candidate for.
Well, you are on mute.
No, you should unmute it so that they can hear me.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
We are not hearing the speaker.
Are you hearing me?
Okay. It is now that we're getting you.
But it's echoing.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Better now?
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not hearing.
Dr. Sawane, you can just unmute and then.
Yeah, use this.
Okay, you are hearing me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I say thank you so much, Professor, for giving us those strategies and doctrines with regards to the peace and security. I always say these are the major important policy directions for any country. As I just want to provoke the presidential candidate, in terms of security, looking at our country, which we are surrounded by Senegal almost on three sides, whether your government is able to identify, let's say, three security threats that perhaps you look at the country and you ought to address immediately as you assume power. Okay. And I have another question for you, but I will allow you to go this first, then I come to the second one.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sawane. Three immediate security threats. This rebel insurgent from the southern part of Senegal is a major concern, and we will engage the Senegalese government on how to resolve it, because it's been going on about 40 years now without any resolution. It's going to be our top priority. Another security threat is the incursion of these pastoralists in the Gambia, because I have seen those experiences in the Upper River region and in Central River region, where the pastoralists from northern Senegal, because they are highly impacted by climate change, they drift to the Gambia about 3 to 4 months of the year. And it creates a problem between the residents in the Gambia, the citizens of the Gambia, who live in the part of the country, and these pastoralists. Because what happens? They sometimes get into those farms, and their livestock, mainly sheep, they graze on their crops, and which is a security threat. So we have to address this with the Senegalese government. And the third security issue is, some people might not consider it as a security threat, is the economic threat, where, for example, right now, Gambians many Gambians believe that Senegal uses the Gambia as a dumping ground for their agricultural produce, because the Gambian government is not supporting Gambian farmers in order to go and sell. Although we have these ECOWAS trade initiatives within the ECOWAS member countries. But Senegal is taking advantage of this situation, and the Gambian government is not stepping its foot down, putting its foot down to engage the Senegalese government so that we can be treated equally. So that the Gambian producers also can ship their markets, their produce to the Senegalese market without any hindrance. When it comes to transportation also. So those issues could raise conflict between the two countries. I hope not, but these are some of the threats, early warnings that we will want to pick up and address it with the Senegalese government. Another one, the fourth one, is the issue of transportation. For example, if you go to Karang, where it's near the border of Senegal and the Gambia on the eastern part, if you cross Barra, you will see that Senegalese motorists, they seldom allow Gambian commercial vehicles to pick up Senegalese customers from the border on the side of Senegal to take them to Dakar. It becomes a problem. They raise their voices. Sometimes it could be some clashes between the transportation operators of these two countries, which is a major peace and security threat. And we will also address that with the Senegalese government, because it is the ECOWAS mandate for free movement of people and services. So no country has the right to dictate how that could be done. So all of us, these two countries, both countries have the equal rights under ECOWAS law to have people moving freely. People have the choice to take whatever form of transportation they want to use. So Senegalese government, or the Senegalese citizens, especially their transport sector, they should not come and dictate to Gambian government or to Gambian citizens that no, you want to join Senegalese commercial vehicles instead of Gambian commercial vehicles to go to Dakar or other places like Kaolack or Mbour. So these are the four examples that I have in mind that I think are the major threats that we will try to resolve with the Senegalese government.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. It's good that you've highlighted these issues. For instance, terrorism, you talk about resource conflicts, among others. But one of the threats that is security threat that is surging up for the Greater Banyan area is the domestic crime. Every year now and then, every week, you've been hearing cases of personal attacks, theft cases, and this is very phenomenal when it comes to crime in the country. Is at an alarming rate. So I want to ask your government, how will you balance in terms of prevention of these threats as well as reactions? In other words, prevention, you're looking at the issue of intelligence, you're looking at the issue of diplomacy, and when it comes to reactions, sometimes you talk about governments, talk about policing and military force. How are you going to balance these two, prevention against reaction to these crimes? This is very important.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. This security threat that you mentioned, that's internal. The first one was external, Senegal vis-a-vis the Gambia. But internal, you're right. Even one lady called me today. We've known each other in Basel when we were kids. She told me that a week ago she was attacked in Serekunda. She has an emotional toll on her psyche up to today, because she was thankful that she was not killed. She was thankful that she was not hurt. Those things, how are we going to address them? All boils down to youth and unemployment, because they don't have any opportunity, and they have the right to live. They have the right to have 3 meals in a day. They have the right to have a good living. But if they don't have those opportunities, of course, they will indulge in such stuff. So what we will do, first, we will address the issue of unemployment to create some employment for them. Two, we will increase vocational training for them so that they are trained. Because when they go through the training, they are distracted from these vices that they commit around the country. And thirdly, we will have intelligence mufti, there's a security officers in plain clothes, almost every part of the country, so that they observe and they communicate quickly. That is early warning to inform the other backup, security backup, to come and try to prevent that crime. So I think those are some of the things that we can do, but there could be some other areas. But right now, this is what we are thinking of to engage the security forces as much as possible. Plain clothes, we have so many intelligent undercover agents, we call them, in the security language. We have to have them deployed in all parts of the country, even around our borders, so to check for stuff like this. For example, a couple of years ago, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, in Makamasiri village, Wuli East District, Upper River region, where we had this criminal from Senegal crossed into the Gambia in that village, and I think one person was killed, and they stole a lot of goods from a shopkeeper. And if we had, at that time, if we had undercover agents around those places, and if we had a security station there, at that time, that would not have happened. But thankfully, on the AIJM government, they established a police intervention unit there now. It's been there for 6-7 years now. So we've never had that crime in that part of the country. So those are the kinds of things we're going to beef up on all our borders and within the country.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sawane. I also have a question, Prof. Yes, it's just a continuation from where Dr. Sawane stopped, especially with the threats, external threats to the Gambia. And we are aware that our joint forces, that's Gambia and Senegal, have this memorandum of understanding on the hot pursuit, where if somebody should commit a crime on either side of the border, the other part can pursue to a certain level into the other country. Don't you think, don't you think this can at least aggravate the tension at the borders? And that is one. Two, I come from a border village, and we are getting a lot of issues when it comes to the demarcation of the borders, especially on the west coast region of the Gambia, where it is very difficult to have a clear border between Gambia and Senegal. And some of us have experienced the entry of the Senegalese military forces with heavy weapons. What will be your government's role in terms of clear demarcation of the borders, and also on the issue of this hot pursuit of criminals on either side of the border?
Okay. You know, on the issue of hot pursuit across the borders, that is governed by Interpol, International Police Agreement between countries. For example, if a criminal from the Gambia crosses over to Senegal and commit a crime and runs back to the Gambia, so what the Senegalese authority would do, generally they do that, but not as much as possible, is to inform the Gambia security forces to track down that criminal and vice versa. When it comes to borders, yeah, you're right. It's very difficult to know where's the boundary between the Gambia and Senegal. In some cases, I don't know how true this is, but some people have expressed concern that Senegal has been encroaching into Gambian territory. That we will look into that. Honestly speaking, that has been in my mind for long, even before I got into politics, because I visited border villages. I cannot believe it. Border villages in Basuri, border villages in Siliti, border villages in Sabi, border villages in Makamasiri, etc., and Sarengai in Wuli West District, Upper River region. I can't believe that the Gambia is that small. I think we will raise it up at the United Nations to make sure that we go back to our pre-colonial, pre-independence boundaries. I strongly believe that the Senegal government has encroached into Gambian territory and will take it up with the Senegalese government through the United Nations, just like Cameroon and Nigeria did a couple of years ago, where they resolved that, and Cameroon was vindicated, and Cameroon got its land back from Nigeria. We will do the same thing in the Gambia. At least that will minimize these terrorist threats. They will minimize these peace and security threats between the two countries.
Thank you. We basically have 7 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
The floor is still open for questions and contributions.
Yes, we have Dr. Ibrahim Sonko. Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor, you can unmute and then.
Yeah. Doctor, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. And then thank you very much, His Excellency, Professor Sidat Yafa. And having listened to you very keenly in relation to your plans if you are voted as a president of this country. So coming back to your deliberation in the issue of security. Of course, I'm young, but we are all Gambians. And then we witnessed the current government and the previous government as well. There is this issue of security reform that we've all been hearing since the Second Republic and coming back to the current government. So I wanted to ask the Professor Yafa, what are some of the plans in the area of security reform? Because many Gambians, what they believe in as security reform, as the government be coming to be sacking people from their positions, which is a misconception with regards to this reform. So are there any plans for this reform that would make this institution to be more lucrative for everyone to believe to be able to at least be in this particular institution to be able to handle cases in the country? Because we believe the current government promised to do this reform, but then we believe it's on a very slow pace. Is there any plans as an urgent matter for this government is come to power to be able to address this issue? Thank you. This is my question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonko. Yeah, we'll have a plan. Security sector reform doesn't mean that you, just like you rightly said, doesn't mean that you sack the Inspector General of Police on no grounds. That is not security sector reform. What security sector reform means is that you make it more effective, you provide training. I talked about this. On-the-job training, outside the country training to make our security sector personnel more effective, and also to engage them at the international missions all around the world. Where in peacekeeping, that will enhance their capacity, that will enhance their training. And also another security sector reform that we will do is women participation in higher levels of security management in our country, which is lacking right now. And also we will enact a new policy that is every Gambian citizen between the ages of 18 and 25, 18 to 25 years, you have to serve in the military. You have to serve in the military for 2 years, and you get paid for serving in the military for 2 years. After 2 years, if you want to continue as an active military officer, you continue. If you decide to drop and you go and do something else with your life in the country or outside the country, you are welcome to do. So the objective of this training is to enhance or to increase the number of well-equipped, well-trained Gambian military servicemen and women. In case of any eventuality, we'll have those people ready. They know how to defend our country. So this is one of these sector reforms that we will include in this current one. For example, security sector reform, SSR. So it's going to be a very, very, and also whoever graduates from this training, 2-year training, you'll be certified, and you cannot get a job anywhere in the country without the proof of that certification. I think that will enhance, encourage our youth to be responsible citizens of this country and to be ready to defend our country at any cost and at any level. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Yafa, for this discussion. And it should not end here. It is for us to go out, convince our people, talk to them that we have an alternate, a better alternate than the current system that we have. We should not only limit it on social media. Let us go out there, catch one, tell one to tell another, so that by the time we get to the pool, we would emerge as victorious. But if we end up just on this forum, we may not get our desire. I would implore all of us to engage, like what Prof. Yafa said, community engagement. Let us engage with the people out there. Let us tell them what we have, why we need to vote in for Professor Yafa than the others, because we've at least experienced other candidates. Now it is Professor Yafa's turn, and we believe, those of us in this forum believe that he has the capacity to lead Gambia to its dreamed aspirations. Let us go out, let us talk to our people, let us convince them to, one, register, two, during the time of the election, to go all out and vote for him. And if there's anything that Prof, you would want to say before we close, the floor is open for you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, once again. I thank all those who have attended, and I thank those who could not attend for one reason or another, especially Professor Ann Wallace. I know she's kind of engaged on some of the issues in the United States. She could not be able to attend here. So what I would like the management, that is Professor Ann Wallace and yourself, Mr. Chair, to send me this video recordings of this, because we have social media outlets. We're going to post them there so that we can reach out to the wider audience of Gambians so that they can listen on Facebook, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, whatever we have social media, we will try to engage. And we will try, and as much as possible, just like I said, I agree with you, that we should go out and sensitize our people in the country and even outside the country to vote. It will be in their best interest to vote for President candidate Professor Sidat Yafa to the presidency of the Republic of the Gambia on 5th of December 2026. Mr. Chair, on the last note, our next meet the candidate will be on 5th of May 2026. That's 2 weeks from today at 4 p.m. Gambia time, and the discussions will be on food and nutrition security on the Yafa government. Thank you very much. Thank you for leading these discussions today.
Thank you so much, and hope to see all of us and more. Let's share the. I will discuss with Prof, and then we see how we can produce a flyer, and then at least people can be sharing it in their WhatsApp status or on their Facebook pages, so that we are able to reach as many people as possible.
All right.
On that note, the meeting is over until on the 5th of May at 4 p.m. Gambian time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a blessed day.
You too.